to those who watched the bidding process. Sina Badaru, founder, Technology Times, and anchor Arise Exchange, Boason Omofaye, both men join us now. Gentlemen, both of you are welcome to the program. Let me start with you, Sina.
Thank you.
Fine, Boason. Let me start with you, Sina. First of all, a breakdown for us what this 3.5G spectrum is about in relation to the 5G network. What's the connect? How does it connect?
Okay, basically, let me just give in telecoms parlance, spectrum is considered the oxygen that basically powers any network, be it mobile, fixed, or whichever variant you choose. So when we're talking 5G, we're talking about the various evolution of the generational evolution of mobile telephony network standards. We have the first generation, which is 1G. So by that, for the benefit of time, and by that extrapolation, you'll understand that the latest succession of the mobile telephony standard that we have is 5G, the 5th generation mobile network. Without bothering or bugging Nigerians with the technical lingos, the promises of 5G is actually what is actually more important. The promises of 5G is that you're able to do faster download. In telecoms parlance, they call them the triple play services: voice, video, and data. Today, we can hardly ever live without an always-on internet connection, be it for our lifestyle, be it for our business need, be it for any other needs. So from WhatsApp to Facebook to internet access, email, we always need internet connection. So much so that you now have today the generation that they call the digital natives. That is the younger generation who grew up in the internet age and can never or could never possibly have imagined a world in which I grew up with, in which those days we had to go to Nitel payphone, queue up for hours before you could make basic phone calls, or a world in which we grew in which the waiting time was an average of 5 years before you could get a basic phone. So that's exactly the significance of what we're witnessing today. Right. So it's a market of a huge number of phones and internet users, and so the appetite for more bandwidth, for more capacity continues to grow, and that's what 5G brings: faster voice, faster video, faster data.
Right. I'll get back to you. We'll talk about some more of that. But Boason, you were there live. Well, both of you were there actually. So now this auction stopped at, if I'm wrong, you tell me, round 11. You were there. Did you expect it to get up to that? What particularly drove it that high? And one expected a company like Glo to be there. Why was it not there at the bidding? You have any idea?
Well, I have no idea why Glo was not there, but based on the few things that we gathered at the auction today, or the event altogether, from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 8 o'clock this evening, it was obvious that the NCC offered what it wants to do to the industry. At the end of it all, there were those three companies, MTN, Airtel Network, and Mafab Communications Limited, were the three companies that stepped forward and said, look, we want to bid for this particular 3.5 gigahertz spectrum, and so they moved on. But if so they were called the pre-qualified bidders in technical parlance by the NCC. So we got the three of them, and I think the process that the NCC wants to focus on was the fact that, yes, they have three finalists, as it were, if you put it like a beauty contest kind of, or a football match, and then they go to the finals, as it were. So, but I think they were the process of getting those three companies to be the ones who participated in today's auction is a process that was known to the NCC itself, but there were no other announcements as to whether 10, 15 other telcos or telecommunication companies bid, and there's only these three, or there was a process, they just said they make the announcement, and only these three came through. Indeed.
All right, Boason, I'll get back to you. We'll talk more on that. Yes, I still have Shino here. Shino, Mafab.
Yes.
Who is Mafab? Like I was reading, I said, if you like a dark horse. I've never heard of Mafab. How did he surprise you? Mafab got it and Airtel lost out? And let's also talk about the amount of money Nigeria is going to be making from auctioning the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum, $557.2 million. That's quite huge. Was that expected, and how will this impact the economy? Shino.
Oh, okay. Let me first take the question about Mafab. Well, first of all, you raised the question that quite a number of curious industry analysts asked once the NCC announced the pre-qualified bidders of the two. Now, look at this is where it becomes more meaningful. MTN is the biggest mobile telephone company in Nigeria, with a subscriber base of about 70 million. That's a giant. Airtel is number 3 by subscriber numbers. Okay, then you have a relative unknown.
Who is number 2?
Number 2 is Globe Mobile.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have a relatively unknown firm just showing up and squaring up with the two mobile giants in Nigeria. That sparked curiosity. But the first comfort you should know is that the auction rule itself allows for that, because the auction rule allows for both startups, new entrants, and existing players to come in and bid. So it's not surprising that Mafab showed up. Mafab equally, once they were announced as a pre-qualified bidder, we started searching up on them and found out that they actually do have existing NCC licenses that were not like the conventional customer-facing licenses that will put them out as a brand there. They do more of what is called international data gateway. They do what is called interconnectivity, that is connecting the various networks in mutual exchange of traffic and all of that. So it's not a brand that you would expect that in the regular play of thing would be customer facing per se. And it's a relatively new entrant player in the Nigerian telecoms market. Is also interesting to note that it was a big upset in the first place that Mafab was showing up in the race, and secondly that Mafab ended up in it to win.
Yeah, I did ask you about the amounts of money, 557.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
And the impact of the economy.
Okay, I'm actually one of those very few people that's usually not excited when they say that government or the federal government makes a lot of money from licensing or issuance of license, because bottom line is like every other business proposition. Who ends up paying? It's the customer is coming back to the rest of us. That's the first thing. It's also an advocacy that we should begin to mount, that the huge amount of money that is being made out of this proceeds of the auction today should be plowed back into the economy in terms of building ubiquitous broadband and so many other needs, rather than ending up as some kind of consideration for 2023.
All right, I'll get back to you. still on some of the issues you've raised. Boason, so now this is for 5G. How does this, he was talking about the consumers going to pay the money. So how does this impact interconnectivity when they come on stream? And maybe you want to talk about the amount of money too that was raised here and how government has made some change, even though, of course, Shino says it's the people that are going to pay for it. Boason.
Well, indeed, this is simply a bonanza for the government towards the end of the year. You have just about a week or two to Christmas, so it's a good time to make 500 and close to 560 million US dollars. Indeed, if you have making that by just selling the spectrum, well, you're in good books to close the books for the year from an investment portfolio point of view. But seriously speaking, and I agree with him that there's a whole lot in terms of infrastructure that needs to be built within the service efficiency, operational issues and all of that the government and the agencies, the NCC, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy can plow this 500, almost $600 million into. The government, we're just scratching the surface in terms of what we need to support the youth, to support women, to support financial service inclusion in the country. So this 557 million US dollars shouldn't just go to just supporting the currency and what have you. I think we can deploy a whole lot more to support youth, young men and women, girls' education. There's a whole lot of parts of the country in which we need a socio-economic funding that this money needs to go into. So we need to think very carefully how we're spending this money. And if you ask me, I think the National Assembly should be asking the government and the NCC in the next couple of days, so where does this money go into? Is it just going to support the 2021 or 2022 budget? Is just going to go into the recurrent expenditure and we just change it into Naira? We pay salaries, we pay deficient and inefficient state governments or subnationals so that everybody is happy through Christmas and into next year. And somewhere down the line, we just can't put a single finger on a single dollar out of this money in the next 6 months to 1 year. So this is not a time to pay for that Christmas. In my opinion, as a financial journalist, with this $557 million, if you look at the current exchange rate, we've done Eurobond this year. How much did we raise? So right now we're talking about whether we're doing another Eurobond. So $557 million in this very hard time, free money, as it were, in a manner of speaking, we should have very hard and deep thinking about how we're going to deploy it. And I will expect the executive branch to come straight through the front door, the Minister of Finance in particular, to tell Nigerians, because this money goes straight into the Ministry of Finance. She should be the one to tell us how will Nigeria, the authorities, develop or deploy this $557 million, and it shouldn't just go into the merrymaking that, yeah, we're successful, the NCC has done a good job, Ministry of Communications and Digital Communications have done a good job, but the question is, show me the money. How will this money be spent? We need to have that to happen. The National Assembly, the relevant committee need to ask, yes.
Show me the money. Let's follow the thread. Shino, just in maybe about 45 seconds, the privatization of PHCN on my mind, Mafab and capacity, can they run the show?
Anybody can run the show with the proper business plan, with an appropriate corporate governance structure. Anybody can run the show. In 2001, we all didn't give Glo a chance. Today, Glo is the pride of Nigeria and a pride of Africa in terms of what he has done to disrupt the market, in terms of what he has done to bring value to the industry with its participation and entry. So let's give the new entrant a chance.
Indeed, well spoken. We've got no choice but to give them a chance and to wish them the best, because it's for the good of Nigeria. Boason Omofaye, Arise Exchange, Arise News, and of course Sina Badaru, founder Technology Times. Both of you gentlemen, thank you for being on the program.